My name's Drew Rillo. I'm a head instructor and owner at 10th Lane Murrieta. We're a jiu-jitsu school. We teach jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and help improve the lives of people through martial arts.
Thanks for doing this, Coach.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
I don't really know what this is, but I'm ready for it.
Oh, dude, it's just like Joe Rogan. Pretend I'm Joe Rogan and you're Eddie Bravo right now.
All right. Well, where's the weed? Where's the whiskey? We need to do some UFO talk.
Dude, I'm down.
Flat
Have
Earth.
you ever seen a UFO?
Dude, I don't think that I've seen a UFO. I've seen crazy stuff in the sky, but it was like later on explained. Right. Do you remember maybe it was sometime last year, or maybe even the year before, SpaceX shot this rocket and there was like this weird flare thing in the sky. I thought that was a UFO until I figured out it was SpaceX.
Dude, there's been some crazy things in the sky. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Do you believe in aliens? Is that a thing?
So I listen to Joe a lot, right? So he actually even recently has been talking a lot about that thing that they saw off of that Navy ship. It was like a pill-shaped thing that went from 70,000 to like 0 feet, like in a matter of an instant. And then I like to read and watch different things and learn. And I think it would be just kind of foolish of us not to realize that the universe is so freaking vast that like something else could be there, you know, even if it's not like a sentient being, right? Even if it's not like a humanoid, bipedal, whatever, like walking thing, in the deep, deep depths of the ocean where sun does not shine, where conditions are harsh and below freezing, there's still organisms living, right? So if it was like that under the surface of something like Venus or Mars or whatever, like who's to say there aren't some type of crustacean bacteria or whatever living, right? So I believe that there's some type of life out there, and who knows, because it's so vast, like we can't reach the depths of it. Maybe there is civilizations of people that are like, you know, like have some kind of similarities to humanity. So I'm open. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's like insane. Like the world is infinite, right? Like we don't know. I saw this movie. It was like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I think that's the name of the movie. It's like this Asian chick. She like travels through multi dimensions, and she's like seeing her different self in different person. She's like downloading different personalities.
Is this like the Asian chick with the badass karate?
Yeah,
okay.
She like downloads
I saw part of it.
the chick that has like this movie was like, it's stupid as it sounds. It was like life changing. I was like, dude, if there's different universes, like, why am I not living the best one? And, like, I walked out of there and my brain was just stuck on, I need to make sure that this is the best universe I'm living in. Because it's so infinite. Like, space is so infinite, right? What are the chances there's another Tony somewhere? Probably not. But
you don't know that. So there's, like, this multi-dimensional theory and this multiverse theory. And you're starting to see it in a lot of different things. Rick and Morty, a movie like that. But the theory is that there are infinite amounts of universes. So there's an infinite amount of Tonys. And Tony is like a different version of himself in each one. And even if maybe to your standard today, right, like you're not living like your best version of yourself, in some alternate reality you are. Tony's like this fucking bad, you know, motherfucker cut. Maybe it's like reverse where you're the jiu-jitsu instructor and I'm the student in an alternate universe. You know, so I don't know. I think just we're at where we're at, regardless of maybe whether that's true or not, and we just gotta, like you said, man, like, dude, we can't just make this the best for ourselves.
Yeah, man, we
it's
just
hard
keep pushing.
though, man. Life's hard.
No, it's not, dude. You can
dude. You can get life's hard. Like shit happens.
Warm cookies. You can get warm cookies and cold milk delivered to your door.
That's pretty true.
This is the easiest time that we've ever had to be alive. Like I really think Uber Eats fucked up the world.
Homeless drug addicts can't get like solutions for themselves to like become productive members of society. Like that shit's hard for them.
Yeah, but that's, you know, as fucked up as it is, that's really their decision, right? Like they chose. I think we have a mental awareness.
Is it though, or
issue.
did the government just put fentanyl on the streets and then like they didn't really have a choice or a chance?
I don't know. We could ask Rick Ross, right? He not the rapper, but have you seen
the real one? Right?
Yeah, Freeway Rick Ross, where he said that the government was like sponsoring the distribution of crack throughout South Central, and then there's Manson. Mm-hmm. What's that thing called?
Was an experiment. He was like a CIA experiment with LSD, MK Ultra, or something like that. Yeah, and
they were distributing that. I mean, you can say the government put it there, but you still made the choice to like put it in your body. Like I've done blow.
Do you believe in free will?
Yeah, I believe in free will. I believe that we get to make at least some choices. like, I think we're all guided into making certain different decisions.
Right.
Like, there's a predetermined path that we kind of just were born into, right? We all learned how to, ultimately, we all want certain things. We all want food, we want sex, we want safety, right? Mm-hmm. Maslow's hierarchy
survival,
of needs.
Replication.
Yeah. And so, like, if the way to survive was to learn how to hunt or to learn how to gather food, then that would be the path that we're taking on. So your decisions are going to be based off of those metrics. What is it going to take to survive based on the environment that you were born into? Like, I was born into an environment in East LA. I had to do certain things to be able to survive that environment. But ultimately, we all have the same shit, right? At least in America. We're born, we're raised, maybe we go to daycare, we go to school. Like, we're trained to make certain decisions and choose certain things. We're driven to make decisions that are ultimately allowing us to have better food, better shelter, potentially better partners.
Yeah, Sam Harris has this, talks about that same concept, which is something I contemplate, because if, like you said, there's these basic things that we base our decisions off, these fundamental things of surviving and replicating, and without having those fundamental things, choices may be different. So if these things guide our choices in life, did we really have that free thought, that free choice to make that decision? Or is it predicated on something that internally or instinctually that we're doing? I think it's such an interesting idea, that free will, because I like to think I make my own choices, but I also am realizing I make a lot of my choices based on emotional trauma experience, life experience, like I experienced that. And so now that I'm in this situation, when given the choice of A or B, I always pick A because of this thing. But if this thing didn't happen, maybe I'd always pick B.
But you still had the choice.
Did I really?
You still had the choice to choose A or B. You have the choice. Like, I have the choice not to eat carbs and be in better shape, but I fucking choose to eat that delicious cookie.
Why?
That's just my decision. You're talking about lacking the decision, right? Like, go to a North Korea where they have to do certain things, right?
That's a different thing.
Right? There's no determinism there.
But they can still.
That's a dictatorship of how you're going to live your life.
Based on your idea, though, they still have the choice to comply or not.
They still have the choice to comply or not, but now there's consequences. So there's still
consequences to eating that cookie too.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of just going into that never-ending cycle of you can choose. Yeah.
Huh. It's an interesting thing. This is fun. This is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Dude, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
When I keep telling these guys, like, it's easy for us to, like, blend up both of our marketings, right? Because, like, they're doing stuff for you guys, they're doing stuff for me. Like, did we shameless plug them?
3 Strand Media does social marketing for the gym. For your view, I don't know. Can I introduce myself?
Yeah,
These guys
go for it.
My name's Drew Rillo. I'm a head instructor and owner at 10th Lane Murrieta. We're a jiu-jitsu school. We teach jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and help improve the lives of people through martial arts. Tony here's a student, and I'm grateful he asked me to come on the podcast. And 3 Strand Media does all of our social media. So if you guys have any SEO or social media needs, content creation, hit up 3 Strand Media, Jaden.
Dude, how'd you get into, like, jiu-jitsu?
A friend. The short answer is a friend. The longer kind of answer with more context. I also grew up in the Los Angeles area, San Fernando Valley area. And when I was in high school, psychedelics were, like, in high school a lot, and like raving, like the rave scene kind of was popular, like, in my circle of friends. So I used to do a lot of that. And so going to parties and doing drugs and all that stuff, well, when you're young, like, it's normal. But when you start doing it, like, well into your, like, 20s and, into those later years, it becomes toxic, and I realized I had a bunch of toxic habits that I just wasn't happy. I was doing things that weren't cool, man. I was, like, selling drugs. I was doing drugs. I was out all the time, spending money, still living home with mom and dad. I'm, like, 27 years old. And, I had this bad acid trip. at this rave.
Fuck.
And I lost my shit, and I was like, dude, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to die out here. Someone's going to kill me. I just need to stop all the bullshit. And I got really depressed. Stopped answering my phone for a while. And after that incident, like, I went home, and I just, like, didn't want to leave my room, was eating my feelings away. And I had a friend call me because he hadn't heard from me in a while, and he's like, bro, like, where are you? And I just told him what happened, and he's like, dude, like, you need jiu-jitsu in your life. I'm going to train. It's not far from your house. Like, meet me at this address at this time. I was like, all right, fine, I'll go. I got to do something. I got to get out of here. Yeah. I'm not off myself. So I went, and that academy was 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Van Nuys, California. Shout out Alder Hampel. That was my first coach. And I went to class, and I got just smashed by these two, like 15-year-old, like yellow belts, orange belts at the time. They didn't do like the kids belting system back then there, but they were good, man. They had some game for sure, and they're scrawny. And I'm 27. Yep. I'm 230 pounds at the time. I've been in bar brawls. I've been in schoolyard scraps. Like, I thought it was tough shit. And these two little kids just wrap me up, triangle chokes, over and over and over, tap me out over and over and over. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta learn this. Yep. This is like, I saw the value right away. And so I never left, man. I took my addictive behavior and I took it to martial arts. And it was really a great outlet for me for a lot of reasons, man. Like, one of the biggest things was my friends. Not that my friends were bad people, they were just bad influences. Yep. So now I made new friends with healthy habits. That was huge for me, dude. People to hang out with that were like not fucking around. Two, the discipline it takes to practice a martial art consistently is so beneficial for your life, bro. It's not even funny. Like, it's the reason not to go drinking with your buddies after work, because you have to wake up and go train the next day. Yep. It's the reason not to like eat like shit because you have to go do that. It's the reason not to go out and party. It became the reason for me to just straighten up. All I wanted to do was jiu-jitsu. I got obsessed. And then the learning process, like the actual, I'm very ADD. I know I have, some people say that like, no. Like, I have trouble keeping attention on things. Yeah. And so when I was training jiu-jitsu, I was passionate and I really loved what I was doing. And it was easier for me to really focus on the technique that I was drilling or training. So I found all sorts of like mental, emotional benefits, community, like everybody I've met in jiu-jitsu for the most part, 99% of people are so cool. Lifelong friendships. So like those were the things that really kept me in jiu-jitsu. That's why I started doing jiu-jitsu. Those are the things that kept me doing jiu-jitsu. And then after a while, I think with most things, when you start to get burned out on things, you have to find other things to like keep you interested. And so competition became the next thing for me. That became the next goal and the challenge. And I think that's another thing that's so great about jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of things that to an unexperienced person you can't really see. But there's all these different elements where you can find growth and keep pushing the envelope, so to speak. And so competition became the next thing. Once I got like the belt system is a really great those are great milestones, right? But within each belt, like there's a whole thing to accomplish. White belt is the belt of survival. Like, how do I just fucking stop from getting choked out by these little shits, right? And then blue belt is like, okay, I can survive long enough to start throwing attacks at people. Now it's like, oh, I can now I need to polish up these submissions. Purple belt becomes about, now that I have submissions, how do I, that's when you really start to play the game. How do I put the submissions together? How do I put all the techniques together and start creating a game where I can start to trap people, so to speak. And for me, competition became that next thing for me at purple belt. And I just went full on competition mode. I made a list of all the competitions I could find within a year. And then I tackled them one by one. And then I marked whether I medaled, didn't medal. I traveled. A lot of times in the beginning of my journey, I was hesitant to go to competitions without a coach, without somebody there to guide me through it. And then after a while, I was competing so much, it didn't matter. So I'd go by myself to Arizona, to Oregon, to wherever. I would just go compete in Nevada, Peru. And I would just go get after it, and all those trips, it was amazing. I met cool people all over the place. And now through jiu-jitsu, I have couches I can sleep on where somebody will put me up, take me to go eat an awesome meal, let me train, maybe let me make some money teaching at their academy, and you can make a whole experience out of it. And I think, in the beginning, we have trouble seeing that far ahead. It's so hard to see your potential. And the more I immersed myself in jiu-jitsu community and culture, I started to see potential. And then I started to see where I could like, okay, this is something I love. It's added so much value to my life. How do I give back? Right. And so I started a tournament company. I became passionate about competition. I wanted to create competition experiences and opportunities for people, especially with rule set. There's a lot of discrepancies with rule set in sport, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have your point system and then you have your submission only format. There was not a whole lot of submission only tournaments. And that's what my sensei, my coach, Eddie Bravo, is passionate about. You know, he's got his show, Eddie Bravo Invitational. But there, you know, so then now there's tournaments for people at the highest level. But what about all the white, blue, purple belts coming up? Yeah. You know, what about the open tournaments? So we started me and a few friends of mine started an open tournament, a submission only tournament. We called it U.S. Submission Grappling League. We wanted to do really big things with it. There's a team of 5 of us. Shout out LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, my friends Eric Medina and Joey House. We did it together. And we started to do that for a while. And it was awesome, man. It was just a lot of work. Not that I'm afraid to do work, but my energy and time was happiest spent training and teaching. And so when I had to like take away from that to like do tournament business, I kind of got turned off. And then the opportunity to move out to Murrieta came up. I get a call from Marvin Castell, who's a black belt under Eddie Bravo. And now he has his academy is called 10 Planet Dark Arts Academy. He was the guy, I don't know if you've seen the video. Do you know what an Imanari roll is? Where they like, all right, so he hit this Imanari roll. And it got like 12 million views, went total viral. It was like the first like truly viral, like 12 million before Gordon Ryan like came on the scene and started being like this viral guy. But that move got that. So these entrepreneurs based here in Murrieta wanted him to be the instructor. He didn't want to move out here. He hit me up and he's like, hey dude, they're looking for an instructor in Murrieta. They want to open a 10 Planet. And at the time, like I was doing the tournament. I was living in a house with a few other jiu-jitsu guys. I was scraping by. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was fulfilled, man. I was loving what I was doing. Yeah. But then the opportunity came up to make more money, to move out here and teach, you know, and do what I love. So I did it. I moved out here. You're a student and like we're building the team and stuff.
How long have you guys been out here?
So I've been teaching 5 years now. June 12th was my... Let's go. Thank you. It was my 5-year anniversary teaching 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu. I've owned the business 4 years.
Okay.
June 1.
That's awesome. And I heard you talking to one of the students that you were going to expand the...
We're looking to expand. The goal. These are projections and goals, but what I'd like to do is, because we're on track to hit about 200 members by January 1, conservatively. And so at 200 members, I'll start looking for a larger facility. Right now, we're in about 2,200 square feet. I'd like to go anywhere from 35 to 5,000 square feet. I'd really like to go shoot higher. Right. We'd like to add full amenities. I'm really big on recovery. It's hard to have longevity in the sport if you're not doing proper recovery, stretching, ice. We do a lot of like ice bath stuff at the gym, sauna, stretching, assisted stretching, myofascial release, all of that stuff. So I want to have like a full-on recovery center. I want to have a daycare because we're very family friendly. And we have like whole families who train with us, but sometimes it's hard with like the little kids, you know. So I'd like to have a place for them to hang out, the kids. We'd like to have full-on showers, steam room, sauna, you know, the whole 9. So we need some space. So yeah, that's what we're looking to do.
That's fucking awesome. Right now, 10th Planet, like when I walked in, it has like a old school feel before like MMA and jiu-jitsu was cool. Like I first started training in 2008, and that was like the feel at the Shark Tank. It was like small, closed-in walls, and it was just like you're gonna go in there and work. And then you know, now they're all blown up. Like when I was trying to see which gym I was gonna start training at here, I went to Dan Henderson, went to a couple other local gyms, and it's like it's almost like a LA Fitness with an octagon, you know. And so like UFC gym out here was, you know, it's basically Fitness 19. But when I walked into like your morning class and I was like working with Coach Mike, I was like, oh yeah, these guys are gonna take the time to really teach and have a different approach to what we're doing. It's not as commercial. It doesn't feel commercialized right now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think I see that and hear that from other people too, where they like that feeling of having some type of smaller community.
Yeah.
I am big on environment. Like, one of the things I'm most proud of what I do is the vibe that we create, the environment, like how it feels when you walk in. And it's not just aesthetically like what it looks like who's greeting you, how are they greeting you, is the student body friendly, is management friendly, like all those things matter. You're walking into a fight gym, essentially. It's intimidating for a lot of people, especially if they've never done this before. And they walk in and seeing guys trying to like punch each other's heads off or whatever, right? And so I can see how when these things get bigger, almost like an LA Fitness, if you will, it can start to lose some of that like culture and community. I feel like 10th Planet itself has a very rich like culture. It's different. We're so different. One of the big things that attracted me to 10th Planet in the beginning, because I was already like in, but then I once I started to like it, I was like, oh, I should like learn all I can about like the history of this. Like I'm just that way. I want to know about what I'm doing. And when you start comparing like traditional jiu-jitsu to what 10th Planet does, it's very not traditional. We don't bow at Eddie's class. Like when I go train with Eddie Bravo, it's never like bow to your sensei vibe. We call him Eddie. I don't have to call him like master. I don't have to. I do out of respect because I appreciate that like kind of Bushido code type of vibe. Like that, I like that. But I don't impress that upon anybody, right? And that was one of the things that really attracted me to it because, like I said, I was a party kid. It was all, I grew up in LA where it was all about like graffiti and like music and, festivals and stuff like that. And so vibe was like important. I understood that. And so I try and keep that the same where we're at now. Like I want it to be vibe. We got the graffiti on the wall. Everybody's cool. You can call me Drew. It's not a big deal. Call me Coach, whatever you want. It's chill, I have small structure things that I like because I feel like it helps keep order during the class. It helps keep the class structured and helps keep time efficient. Like I like people to line up when we first start and then we kind of all bow in together. It's not bow to your sensei. It's like, let's bow to each other. Like, let me bow to you too. So we can acknowledge that we're about to train this martial art. There's trust here. So that's important to me. But environment I think is super huge, and even I can visualize it, right? Like even if I did expand and we got 400, 500, 600 members, there's still like an energy, and environmentally, like I still want to keep it very like that way.
Yeah, it definitely starts from the top, right? Like you're gonna set the tone as the head instructor, owner of how everybody else behaves. Right, because you're setting the tone for how the teachers that you bring in, for the coaches you bring in, even from like the setup and how it all flows together. You get to dictate what type of energy goes into your location. And then that just kind of trickles down to the students, right? You probably do you see your style of jiu-jitsu in some of your students?
Absolutely. I see my style of communication in my students.
Yeah.
And you're right, it trickles down. And it's my responsibility, right?
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if you build your belief and value system and then you act from that, then it just happens, Like I don't have to put that pressure. I don't have to check myself like, oh, am I acting right? I'm just like, hey, this is what we believe. Like this is how we act. And then, it just kind of catches. Henry Gracie, there's a video of him saying, talking about this that like really resonated with me. I saw a few years back. He says, look at your academy like a fishbowl. Right, your school is the fishbowl, the students are the fish, but the environment, the vibe is the water, right? And if your environment is toxic, your fish are gonna die, your students are gonna leave.
Yeah.
Your fishbowl is gonna get dirty. You have to maintain those things, and so that always really resonated with me. And then I now work with a lot of other gym owners, and I've really done my due diligence to do my best to build my business, and a reoccurring theme. And you'll hear a lot of guys say it, like your money in this business, right? Because I have to look at it from a business perspective. Your money is in your environment. Right. It's in your environment, and it's in your newer students, your newest students, are really like the longevity of your business, of your bottom line. And so those are things I always try and, like, that's a frame I always try and operate from. I think it's important.
Yeah, so far my experience has been incredible. Like transitioning from like always doing striking to like not going to jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Like I went in there and I was like, we'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it goes. And now I'm hooked.
What is it that got you hooked? What do you love about it?
I don't know, man. Maybe it was just I just vibed really well with Coach Mike. So maybe it was just the vibe that him and I came off of each other, and I was like, because I'm always like so dominant, right? Like at work, I'm the boss and even at home, right? Like I manage the house, I manage expenses, I do everything. Mm-hmm. So then when I would go box places, generally it was going to be a tough go for anybody. Like, so it was always kind of coming from this place where I was always in an alpha position, mm-hmm. and then going in and then getting baited by a person with no ego was like, oh shit, like, hey, I'm not a badass anymore. Like, fuck yeah. Like, let me be in this environment where there's no ego and there's a dude that's going to strangle me right now. And I just gotta give in to that situation. And so learning and like kind of adapting into that scenario has been really awesome. And like I trained jiu-jitsu before, like mostly at striking gyms. The closest I got to like being a part of actual jiu-jitsu team is I trained at when Boogie had his gym in Mission Valley. Mm-hmm. He was across Mission Gorge. He was across the street from Tiger Small's boxing gym. Mm-hmm. And I was training there for a bit, and then I went to a couple of his jiu-jitsu classes. That was really when then I stopped. Then I just never went back. Like I was always just more into the striking of the martial arts rather than like going on the ground and doing that. Also, I was never good at it, so I probably avoided it. But there's something about your gym, and I really like for me, I really liked that it was a smaller place, and I felt the environment like kind of changing. I'm excited to start going to the afternoon classes and really getting to know more of the people there, because like you said, there is a community, and really expanding on that portion of it. And dude, like now I'm like hooked on jiu-jitsu stuff. Like cool. I'm watching, like I'm excited for the Polaris fight this Saturday.
Sick, dude.
Dude, like I'm watching every countdown episode. I've been watching like Ryan Gordon and the B team guys, and like now I know all these jiu-jitsu players, and I had no idea of any of this like 3-4 months ago.
That it's like a thing.
Yeah, and now I'm like all into it, right? And
that's cool.
It kind of, I just felt the bug get bit, and
that's
now
cool.
As I like learn more, I feel it like, okay, now it's like it's infinite. Like everything that's been taught to me over these past few months, and I'm like, man, I don't know shit. Like for a second, I was like, man, I'm getting good at this. And then Johnny Ho walked into the gym, and I got to roll with him, and I was like, oh, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know absolutely anything.
Yeah.
And then it was like a humbling experience to be like, yeah, this is awesome, man. And like I try to make sure when I'm in there, it's like there's no ego on my part. I'm very like soft, and I don't know. I mean, I rolled with you the other day, and you just completely made me feel like I was a little baby, right? And it's like, man, this is so awesome to be in this position, because then you guys are also not hurting us. Like you're letting us work and letting us learn. It's just a really great environment, like you said, that you've created.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. And just touch on a few things that you said. Like, that's so cool, man. It makes me feel good seeing people get bit by the bug. You know, it's like, for lack of a better word, like it's validating for me. You know, it's like, cool. Like we're doing good stuff here. You know, like cool. The way I was inspired. I like that the way I was inspired, like I'm not a unique snowflake in that sense. It's like, oh, it's like, cool. I can like spread this and other people get inspired. It seems like you had a similar experience. The fact that you're being humbled, the fact that your ego is just being diminished.
Yeah.
You know, and while that can be like a very vulnerable feeling, I still see a lot of power in that. Like there's a lot of positivity and benefits in that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it's like, it's all encompassing. Like I'm always looking for things like, dude, I've always growing up, drugs were a huge thing. Like drugs, alcohol, partying. Sure. We were talking about raves, right? Like women, everything. And like everything that made you feel good, like let's go, let's bring it on.
Yeah.
And now to like, I think we as men also need an outlet where like you can let out some of that aggression, because in this society, right, going back to what we were talking about, determinism and choices, we as men don't get to let out that animal, right? You can't just go and like hunt anymore. You got Uber Eats. You can't just go out and fight for your mate. So this creates the outlet, right? But ultimately what I was looking for was something to shut off my brain for an hour.
Yeah.
And like jiu-jitsu gives that. Yeah, like for an hour and a half, you can't be I can't be thinking about my P&L or an employee problem or a problem at home. Like, no, I'm in the gym, it just takes that focus.
Yeah, you're talking about like alpha versus beta and like what that really is. It's a topic I'm actually passionate about. There's these things that men need that society is really stifled for us, like that. I think a big one in general that I think jiu-jitsu helps us attain is community with other good men.
Yeah.
You know, like we're always consciously or subconsciously looking to form the gang, be a part of the gang, be a part of the following, be a part of our social constructs. And you want to align with like good men that are going to help you survive on a biological, fundamental level, you know, even though we don't have to, we're not fighting wars in the streets here in Murrieta. It's not like that, but something in our programming, like biologically, we need that.
Yeah.
We need to align with good men that are going to help us survive. You know, and we do that when we qualify friends, consciously or subconsciously. When I'm like, oh, I can be friends with this person, consciously or subconsciously, you're like, dude, is this guy gonna help me be able to help me survive in a fight or fucking if shit goes down or whatever? That was something I always looked for when I was like a kid running around the streets in LA. Like, big deal. Like if I wasn't hanging out with people that couldn't like add value to me socially, I see it not consciously. Now I see it consciously. But subconsciously, like I can take an honest inventory of what that was, right? And I think that's an important thing that jiu-jitsu helps provide men. The outlet, like you said, fucking huge, man. Like we need a place to go get it out, bro. Especially if you put yourself in a situation where you are gonna have like a boss, you know, and then that fucking boss can be like a little guy with an ego because he writes a check.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have to fucking like you'll beat his ass or whatever if that were a thing, right? But then you have to kind of sit and like let this guy get into his ego and know it's unjust and then go home and sit with it.
Yeah.
And then go home to your wife like henpecking you.
Yeah.
You know, or like bitching at you about the garbage or the dog shit or whatever it is. You know? And then it's like, okay, do you blow up on your wife? Do you blow up on your kid?
Yeah.
You know? So having jiu-jitsu is an amazing outlet for that too. Because it's not, you know, regardless, like it doesn't make you a man to be able to blow up on your wife or your kid.
No.
You know, it makes you a bad fucking husband and dad. You know, and I think beyond that too, like I think communication is one of the most important things when like trying to relate to another human, whether it be like a man to man thing or a man to woman or talking to your child, like teaching somebody something like a martial art, trying to get what you want in that business meeting. Communication becomes the most important thing. And it's escaped too. Like it's not something people put an emphasis on, you know? I think that's important.
Yeah. There's no better way than communicate than like, hey, stop choking me, man. I'm gonna tap out. Like, dude, stop trying to kill me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like we touched on the man, right? But like then for the women, like man, there's nothing better. Like for them to be able to go in and learn self-defense like that
is huge.
Like my daughter's 2, like she'll be in jiu-jitsu early on by the time she's 3, 4. I have a godson, he's 15. He's training at I don't know the name of the gym, but it's a gi school over in Montebello. And I've taken him to like his tournaments. I cornered him in a tournament.
Cool.
My heart probably lost 6 years that day. He took a gold, but man, like the intensity of seeing the kids and then like, but now knowing like for Sandro, who's 15, like he has a different swag about him than other kids, right? Like he's my godson.
Got it.
He's got no ego to him. He's got no like tough bone. He's just kind of like chill, very relaxed. But the dude's a fucking killer. He's been doing jiu-jitsu for 4 or 5 years, right? And it's like, I feel like for the kids, the discipline that the martial art brings, there's going to be nothing better. For my daughter, who's 2, who will start doing jiu-jitsu at 3, 4, whenever she's allowed, right? Like for her to be able to defend herself from the man who can't let out anything and now is going to try to take it out on her.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. And that same benefit, it's kids and adults alike as far as like taking your ego away, calming you down as a person. Like it's so interesting. And I share this in common with a lot of guys. Before jiu-jitsu, I would get in fights. I would like think I was tough shit or like hit on some dude's girlfriend at the bar or like dude, just disrespectful stuff, you know, thinking I was tough shit. And I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 11 years now, and I haven't been in one altercation since I started.
No, because the ego's gone.
The ego's gone. There's no like I get my aggression out, you know? Or I'll go have a bad day, and then just teaching and adding value to people is enough for me to just for all that stuff to melt away.
Dude, seeing like the people progress, you know,
it's amazing.
Seeing the person have an aha moment where it's like, oh, this is what I've been doing wrong. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've never coached at your level, but I would do like privates with boxing, and then like teaching someone like how to throw a jab, and then all of a sudden, you know, their jab's coming from their hip for 3 months, and all of a sudden they just pop it because they kept their hands up, and it's like, yeah, that's what you could have been doing this whole time. And then you can see their brain and their eyes kind of start to go, and then it's like, yep, like that moment of them realizing they just learned a new skill that they're going to get to take forever. That's like fulfilling.
It's very fulfilling. I mean, I get, you know, and I won't name people or whatever, but I'll brag for a moment of like, I get these messages from students all the time, you know, thanking me for the value that I add to them. And it's like, that's the shit that makes me like, I just want to shed a tear, bro. It makes me want to cry. It's beautiful. You know, it really is.
Dude, so before we get emotional, this Polaris fight that I'm excited for, like,
yeah, man,
dude, I know a couple.
Are you talking about USA versus Brazil?
USA versus Brazil.
It's gonna be badass, dude. Most of the guys are 10th Planet from the USA side.
Yeah, I saw Gio Martinez,
Boogie, PJ, Keith. Yeah, all friends of mine, all bad motherfuckers in their own right, all out of San Diego County.
Yeah, they're all in the Oceanside gym.
So Boogie's San Diego, 10th Planet San Diego. Gio's 10th Planet Oceanside. Keith Krikorian is a black belt under Boogie at San Diego, but he also trains at the Orange County Buena Park a lot. And then PJ is a black belt under Boogie, but he now has 10th Planet in Chula Vista.
Okay.
So plug those guys for sure. If you're in San Diego County at all, any and all of those gyms, all those guys are of the top tier of no-gi grappling. Go train with those guys, dude. If you live in those areas,
like a part of me is like, dude, I wish I would have just stayed consistent and like kept training. Like, because I was training when, if you said the word jiu-jitsu, people would be like, what?
Sure.
It was in 2008 when I walked into my first class, and then I just never.
Oh, that's before me.
I never got it. Like the bug never bit on that side of it. All right, so then it was like, man, I where I would be crazy. When Noguera had Black House Gym in off of Miramar Road, I was training with Alex Palma, who was a Muay Thai instructor, and Bernard Sfer, also Muay Thai instructor. Tiffany, do you know Tiffany Von Sudas? She's a glory champ. She was training there, and like I would try the jiu-jitsu classes. Dana White's nephew trained there for a couple of weeks, and like that was like when I decided to go. But I never got the bite like I have it right now. But where I'd be right now is like crazy.
Now's your time, you know. It wasn't your time then. You weren't ready then, and
competing. You know, in August,
so my same friend who got me into jiu-jitsu tried to get me to go to jiu-jitsu classes for 2 years before I finally was like, okay, my life's a pile of shit right now. I gotta go. You know. But it took that amount of time for me to get in, man. And everybody just has their journey, and that's okay. You know?
And you get to like enjoy life doing something you love every day.
Yeah, I'm grateful, man. Like I do, you know. Somebody asked me, my cousin asked me the other day. We were like sitting in San Diego at the Intercontinental Hotel. They got this dope rooftop, and we're hanging out. She's at this work conference, and she like, there's kind of like a silence, not uncomfortable, but a silence. And so she breaks it with a question of like, what would you do if you could have like any job in the world? Like if you know, like, what's your dream job? And I took a moment and I was like, dude, I'm doing it. Like, for real. Like, I go to fast food or wherever I go, a restaurant. Hey, how you doing today? Living the dream. And people laugh, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, no, for real. Like, I'm doing what I want to be doing. Like, the work I do is incredibly gratifying. I'm my own boss. You know what I mean? I make my own schedule. I get to help and inspire people to be better versions of themselves. What's better than that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no amount of, like, money doesn't buy you that.
Yeah, that's so amazing to be able to live that lifestyle. I was training some dude in my garage in just like a workout that I was trying to help one of my friends like get a little bit stronger, lose some weight. No one ever believes like I can work out because I'm just so fat, but like I got some shit. And like, but after I was done training with Nick, and then I look at him and I go, damn, I would do this every day for free. Like I would leave everything to just be able to help train people. And it was like, man, maybe I got to rethink my career.
Maybe not, you know? I mean, maybe there's ways you confuse it, you know? get creative.
Yeah.
Talk to other entrepreneurs.
This is the endorphin, right, from like working out. So you just got to let that go. Dude, I keep getting off this freaking fight though. Like, how do you think
Polaris?
Yeah, how do you think those guys are gonna perform?
I mean, I'm obviously like I'm both Team USA, Team 10 Planet all day. I'm biased off the bat, so let's just start there. But Polaris rules are interesting though because they go to judge's decision, which is something that I'm not like a big fan of.
Okay.
It's a cool thing about what EBI does because there is no judge's decision. It goes to an overtime that's jiu-jitsu based.
Yeah.
Whereas like traditionally shit's no Valley 2, no rules. Right? So not traditionally, but like what you see mostly in sport jiu-jitsu is a points-based system with either a referee decision at the end if in the event of a stalemate or first takedown, like a wrestling-based overtime. And so that's okay, but from a spectator's point of view, and like we'll go into this too, because we'll talk about this, and then if it's cool, we can talk about the evolution of this because I think it's really cool. And you touched on it a bit, but from a spectator point of view, man, like we want to see somebody finish, you know, like everybody wants to see the tap out, the choke out, like the crazy, like that moment where you're like, shit, is he going to tap him? Is he going to get him? But you don't get that until you're in a compromising position. And at the highest level, guys get really good at not allowing the other person to get there, you know, and then it gets into this like whole like patty cake thing that happens for a whole bunch of time. And then like a referee has to really like rack their brain over what happened and decide. And so I'm hoping we don't see a whole lot of that. 10th Planet is very geared towards finishing the fight.
Right.
We're very submission heavy. We're very submission only heavy. So I think we're going to see a lot of 10th Planet guys going for it. And I think that's how it's going to go down. I think the Brazilian team, all of those guys train and have accolades in more point style jiu-jitsu. And so that's how they compete. That's how they train. It's a lot of like wrestling base kind of hold you in place and then like get the points. And a lot of times if they do take you down and lay on top of you and kind of just shut you down the whole time and don't let you, even though you're attacking, they don't let you like get anything. A lot of referees or judges will give that to the person on top.
Right.
Fight to Win's a little different, and they've been a promotion that's really started to change those things. And Polaris's criteria is supposed to be based on submissions, so I'm hoping that's what we see. I think we're going to see a lot of finishing. I think Keith Kokorian is a finisher for sure. And I think all those guys, bro, like every guy I mentioned, they're all finishers, dude. Gio's a finisher. Boogie's got one of the nastiest guards in the game, let alone 10th Planet.
His like rubber guard is
His
insane.
rubber guard is retarded in the best way possible. PJ is a D1 wrestler out of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania? Wasn't he? Yeah, he was in Penn for a while. And somewhere else in, I want to say Connecticut, but I'm not positive. But regardless, besides that, like he's done like the upper echelon of things you can do in submission only grappling, and grappling in general. You know, he did so good at this West Coast ADCC trials run. So like I don't know, man. I think that the USA team is just powerhouse. I love that a lot of it's 10th Planet, and I think they're gonna do well. I think they're gonna win.
How did they select them? Is it?
It's invite. It's invite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't part of the process or anything, but I imagine they were just like, hey, let's pick like 5 of the best guys doing things in America versus 5 of the best guys doing things in Brazil. You know? And
it's like an elimination. So, like, if one guy loses, the winner stays on, though, right?
If it's quintet style, I didn't look at the rules. I don't know. That format is called a quintet format.
Okay.
And that's a pretty spectator-friendly format. It's really exciting to do. I'm building a quintet team full of blue belts right now.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, so that's fun. We did one a few months ago. And we almost won it. We got super close, man. We're about to do one at 10th Planet Covina on July 2nd, and then another one at 10th Planet HQ on July 17th. So come hang out.
Yeah, dude, I'd be super down.
But Polaris is going to be lit, dude. I mean, you know, I put up a post for it. I'm excited to watch it.
Are you guys going to have like a team watching party?
We could. I haven't planned anything, but I like to do stuff like that. Sometimes we'll do UFC nights at the gym. It's good. Yeah, so maybe we will.
Yeah, if you guys do that, post on Signals.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as like the sport in general, just to touch on like how you were saying that like now you got the jiu-jitsu bug and now you know, and you've been watching all the videos. I imagine you've been watching Flow Grappling or something like that.
I don't know what I watch. It's, YouTube's algorithm now.
Oh, okay, so it's all on YouTube.
It went from like Eric Thomas, Patrick Bed, all the motivational crap that I usually listen to, and now it's all like Nicky Rodriguez. What's rad. That big dude? I always like watching that big dude. I think also Oswaldo.
There's the production quality on jiu-jitsu content right now is the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
And they've gotten some real players who like have a lot of experience producing commercial shows, UFC fights, things like that, movies, TV. Now those folks are on production for our sport. Yeah. And it is the best thing to happen to our sport ever because it's super watchable.
Yeah.
It looks cool as shit. And they're structuring it in ways that build that character build. They build the character. They build you through the story, through up to the tournament. And then the announcers or the commentators do really good jobs like building the character within the tournament.
Right.
There's an app. Now we have like our own streaming apps. Like there's an older sports streaming app called Flow Sports that focused mainly on collegiate sports for a long time. And then wrestling became like a big part of it. And now they have a branch of it called Flow Grappling. So you can get the Flow Grappling app, and they're building episodes and building these jiu-jitsu characters up in ways kind of like Ultimate Fighter built up the next UFC fighter coming up. And I think it's so cool for our sport. I think it's so great that guys now have opportunities to do this for a living, and make some real like livable wages off of doing what they love. And I mean, these guys are training 2-3 times a day, 7 days a week. Dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there's no room for them to go get a 9-to-5 and do this and compete at the highest level. So, sponsors have come in. I think it's really cool that weed culture is really fused with jiu-jitsu culture. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Yeah, I was when I was looking for a tournament to sign up for, they had High Rolls.
High Rollers, yeah. So now they're bringing weed brands into the mix. From a business perspective, it's fucking genius. I think their business model is amazing. So tournaments become hard. Like, again, these jiu-jitsu guys train 3 days a week, and I have 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So they don't have money, they have to get sponsored to like get money. And sometimes it's hard for them to get sponsors, but like High Rollers is genius business model because what they do is they get the weed companies. They already find the weed companies and they say, okay, we're going to get you an athlete to sponsor and you have to give us like $3,000 per person or whatever. The weed companies have it. Yeah. Then they get all the exposure. Right? The jiu-jitsu guy doesn't have to pay shit and they get paid. Everybody gets paid. And so I think all around it's like win, 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 win. The weed companies get their marketing. They already have marketing budgets and they have buku money anyway. The broke jiu-jitsu guy gets the opportunity and gets paid. And the promotion makes a lot more money off the sponsors than he was about to off charging these broke jiu-jitsu guys to compete. So I think it's really cool. I think it's cool that cannabis is starting to infuse with jiu-jitsu. And I just think it's really cool how the sport's really building and giving guys like you, like, you now can watch it on YouTube and, like, have a bunch of cool stuff to, like, watch and get into. Yeah. Back in the day, you ask Eddie, it was like, dude, we had this one VHS tape, and it was, like, UFC 1, and, like, after your buddy borrowed it, like, yo, let me borrow that VHS tape. And it was hard to, like, get as much exposure towards the sport.
Yeah, MMA just says... It's just transitioned everything. Well, Coach, man, I really appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people go train with you?
10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu Murrieta. Follow that one, right? That one. Follow us at 10p.murrieta, 10planetjjmurrieta.com. Don't forget to follow 3 Strand Media, who's also doing all of our content. Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Let's go if you want to break through into a different avenue of life. Go train at 10th Planet. They're not just in Murrieta. There's locations all over the states.
150 locations worldwide. 10planetjj.com/locations.
Cool. Peace out, everybody.